So I've just spent the morning packing. I'm going to an event this weekend, my first ever gravel event, which I'm quite excited about. It's called WildWales, as you can guess. It's in Wales, and it's like a 2-day event. It's more about like social cycling community stuff than it being about a race. I'll link the event down below so that you can have a look. But it sort of prompted me over the last couple of weeks to do some upgrades to my bike that I've been meaning to do for a little while now. And so I thought this might be a good opportunity to talk you through the bike, some of the changes that I've made, and why I think this is such a great, sort of fairly entry-level one-by gravel setup. So the bike is a 2021 Canondale Topstone 2, and I bought it just over a year ago new. It was around £1,600, which is fairly like mid to entry level when it comes to a good quality bike. One of the major reasons that I bought this bike was the frame. I just love the paint job on this. It's like a purple pearlescent. It just looks great, and a lot of people always comment on the paint. The frame is aluminium and it's sort of medium weight. Like, it's not light, it's not heavy. Very similar to frames like the Specialized Diverge and the Canyon Grizzle. They're all fairly similar, fairly comparable. But what I really like about this frame is that the livery or the logos are really small, really minimal, and kind of unobtrusive, which can't be said about all of the other bikes in this range. Canyon. You're gonna have to excuse the chimney that is on this bike. I had it fitted a little while ago and I've not got the tool to cut down the steerer, so I need to go and take it to the bike shop and get that done. The first upgrade that I did is the handlebars. I bought the Zipp Service Course SL70 Xplr, that's a mouthful, handlebars, and they're aluminium, but they're really light. They've got a flared shape, which I think is great for the gravel bikes to give you a little bit more control on those descents. And the bar is sort of quite thick on the tops, which I really like because when I'm climbing and on gravel bikes, when I'm moving a little bit slower, I often use this handlebar position. So I don't like really thin handlebars in this area. I like something that is a bit more comfortable to grip. Also for this weekend, I've got my Wahoo Element bolt, and I've also got this Knog PWR light. I'll link the proper thing down below. I'm not entirely sure on the spec, but it's a great light. And it can also double as a power bank as well. So it's got a little USB. If you run out of charge on your cycling computer, you can just plug that in and give it a little bit of charge. So really like that light, and I've got it attached to a GoPro mount on the underneath of my cycling computer mount, which just keeps everything really streamlined and it looks great. So the bike is equipped with GRX 400. That was stock when I bought the bike. It's 10 speed, but I don't really mind. You know, I don't feel like I miss 11 speed all that much. And what it means is that when the parts wear out or you crash and break the parts, it's really pretty cheap to replace. So I've got no reason to upgrade. And the fact that this bike is under 10 kilos with all of that on there, I think is great. I do love the GRX shifters, like the ergonomics, they feel really great. And so I really love this group set actually. You know, I've got Ultegra on my other bike, and really, like, apart from maybe the smoothness of shifting, I really can't see that big a difference. I've got Specialized Power saddle on there. It's the saddle that I just use for everything, and yeah, I really like it. So moving down to the drivetrain, the rear mech is GRX 400, but everything else is a little bit different. This is where I've made the majority of the changes. So this bike came equipped with an FSA chainset, which was just horrible. I've already had to get parts of it replaced. It was heavy, it was clunky, it looked ugly, it didn't perform well. There was a lot of front mech rubbing. I really didn't like it. And so it was really difficult to source, but I was able to find a GRX 600, that's an 11-speed chainset in the 1x setup to put on the front. I'm really enjoying the 1x so far. I've not ridden it for very long, but it's definitely lighter, which is a pro. I love not having a front mech on there. If you've watched my previous video, I'll link it up there. I did break the front mech on this bike out on a ride, which was why I was kind of forced to replace it or remove it. And I really didn't like it. It used to rub, obviously it broke, which wasn't great. And so I'm quite glad to have just gotten rid of that. And it's another part of the bike that now can't break out on a ride. But in order to get the sort of gear spread that I wanted to have on this bike, I needed to do a little bit of work on the back to make it all work. So this is just the stock GRX 400 rear mech, but I've fitted it on with a Wolftooth Goat Link. Now, if you've not seen one of these, basically it's a little link that you put between the rear mech hanger and the rear mech. And what it does is just extends the length of the rear mech a little bit so that it allows you to accommodate a larger cassette on the back. And what that's made possible is an 1142 cassette. I've got the Shimano Deore, it's a mountain bike cassette. It's 10 speed, but it's 11 to 42. And so that means that I've now got a 40 chainring on the front and a 42 on the back. So that gives me an over 1-to-1 ratio, which is perfect for any of the sort of steep climbs that I might expect. I really do like this Wolftooth Goat Link. It was only like 20 quid, and it just means that now on this setup, it's a really usable one-by system that is going to be fine moving fast on the flats and also going up the climbs. And some people have asked like whether you really feel the gaps in between the different gears on the cassette. And honestly, not really. Like the spread between the sort of fast end of the cassette is quite similar actually to the 1136 that I had on previously. The big jumps come at the top end with like the 42 that jumps to 37, that then jumps to 32, I think. So that's where you notice it. But when you're climbing on a hill, the gaps are less noticeable than when you're on a flat and you're trying to get a good cadence. So really, I think it's great. I think the system works really well, and I'm really looking forward to giving this like a proper test over the weekend. And then just to finish, I've got these Hunt 4-season extra wide gravel wheels, pretty cheap aluminium wheels, but again, I saved loads of weight compared to the stock wheels that were on here, and the bearings are a lot smoother. And so I think it's a really good upgrade for like 300 quid or whatever I paid for them. And then I've got these Panaracer Gravelking SK tires in 43mm. I've just put these on as well. I've gone a little bit wider. I was running 38mm previously. I've got these Look X Track Race pedals. Again, I'll link down below. These pedals have been great. I used to have the sort of Shimano mountain bike pedals, and they're quite similar. It's the same cleat, but these just have a slightly wider base. So often I ride this bike just to commute around town and just have some trainers on. And so the slightly wider base makes it a lot easier to ride when you don't have cleats on. So these pedals have been great, not that much heavier than the Shimano ones. So that is my Canondale Topstone 2 with quite a few modifications on there, but still really quite an entry-level bike. It's not super expensive, and for the money, I think this is amazing. It's a great one-by setup, it's less than 10 kilos, it looks great, and really I can't see myself spending any more on this bike. I think it's great, and I'm really happy with it. So if you like this video, then hit like, and if you're not already, get subscribed. I'm going to be filming the entire event over the weekend, and I will be posting those videos next week. So hit subscribe if you want to see those, and I will catch you in the next one.